The Force of Others, a Star Wars podcast.
Hello there, and welcome to The Force of Others. I'm Matt Boitner.
I'm Zachary Owen Turner.
Oh, Noah. Welcome, Noah. I knew I was going to screw this up, like, within the first 10 seconds.
That's right. Fresh
Sorry.
off of his hot episode last week, we got Noah right back into, I don't know, I'm thrown off now too.
Fresh off his hot episode.
Hot episode
yeah.
last week. It was great. Great episode.
I guess hot off the presses. Is it hot
Yeah.
off the presses if it's audio?
Hot off the eardrums.
Off the CD.
Hot off the flimsy plast because it's Star Wars. Anyway,
Ooh,
Zach,
there
what are
we
we
go.
talking about today?
Today we're talking about all things the Ninth Jedi. I'm a huge fan. Matt's okay with anime, and so we decided to bring somebody else on to talk about it. And before we get into all of that, we have a fun little question/game. We're going to start with Noah on this one. Noah, if
good.
you could add one F-bomb into Star Wars, where are you putting it?
You know, I've seen this joke online so often, especially with, like, you know, around the time that Deadpool was coming out, and they're like, this is just R-rated because of the amount of F-bombs that they drop in it. And then, you know, Twitter goes crazy. Like, the main one is, like, Vader, end of Revenge of the Sith, finding out Padme's dead, and instead of the dramatic, weird no you get, it's just like, fuck. Like, really long and drawn out. But, you know, we were talking about Brandon and Solo a little bit earlier. I don't know where, you know, shout out Solo. I don't know where particularly I would want it, but I feel like Lando saying like Donald Glover's Lando, like, right here. They're on Kessel. L3 is leading the revolution, and instead of Lando being like, you know, that damn droid or whatever he says in it, he just goes, for sakes, and then has to like run outside. I think that would be beautiful. I think that would be great.
Either that, or when Han's like destroying the ship as they're doing the run, just like him in the background being like, like my ship.
or they're on what was it at the end, the desert planet Navarine. And you know, Han puts his arm around Lando's shoulder, and instead of saying I hate you, he goes, I hate you. I think that would be great.
or just you know.
Yeah, that. Or, you know, they think all's great. They got the coaxium in, and they look out. Enfys Nest is out there, and then like, you know, either Alden Ehrenreich or Woody Harrelson just goes like under his breath, like. I think that,
yeah. Those are great.
I'm gonna put in
great.
Solo.
That's a good one.
Matt?
Yeah, so I got three, but really there's one for me. All three of one of them wouldn't change the scene at all. This first one would, but just you're in Empire Strikes Back. Luke's like, Obi-Wan told me the truth. He told me you killed him, and Vader's just like, no, I am your father. You know, or change the scene completely. Still in Empire. Leia looks at Han and goes, I love you. And Han's like, I know. And then it gets put into carbonite. But the best one.
That's
the best
great,
one.
actually.
And the character that I think would pull this off the best in a moment that I think it's the most warranted. We're in Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. Anakin's having his little temper tantrum towards the council. And Mace Windu looks at him and says, take a seat, Skywalker. And I think that's the move.
Yeah.
And then
'cause
Obi-Wan chuckles.
I'm hearing it in like Samuel Jackson's voice too. Or when you went with Empire, I'm hearing it in like Harrison Ford, like especially nowadays looking at him in like interviews and how like done he is with it. It's, yeah, both those actors are perfect for that.
Yeah. Good crush. What about you, Zach?
I got a couple. Just to shout out, we know that in Andor, the original line was the Empire.
Yeah.
So just wanted to shout out that little lore bit. So
Yeah.
we almost had it, but we didn't. I have a couple here. I have, Chancellor Palpatine is evil. Well, in my point of view, the Jedi are evil. Well, then you are lost.
That's beautiful.
Also, in the same movie, Sam Jackson be like, Anakin, he must stand trial. He's a mother Sith Lord. What are you talking about? And then I got two more. One, it was one that my final choice would be the final one, but I thought it would be very funny if it was, help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope. Because I could just see Carrie Fisher doing that.
Oh, yeah.
And then my last one, which is the one I think it would actually fit, is Anakin again going, I killed them all. Not just the men, but the women and the children, too. And Padme just looks at him and is like, what the
Oh, that's great.
And that fits because her face is so just like, there's this close-up
Appalled.
on her.
Yeah.
But it's okay. 10 minutes later, I've been dying a little each day since you came into my life.
Yeah, she heard that and she's like
I love
appalled,
you.
but like slightly turned on at the same time. Yeah.
He loves so hard, he's willing to kill people, you know?
That's got to be what she was thinking, because like you don't hear that and like, you know, next scene, like 5 minutes later, you're confessing your love to him. Like,
Yeah.
Well,
anyway,
have you ever been force fed a pear? I mean, come on, it's so romantic.
yeah.
Calling it force-fed works
Yep.
on a couple different levels, one of
Yep.
which makes me uncomfortable. But anyway, if you want to leave your thoughts on Attack of the Clones or where you'd put an F-bomb in Star Wars, email your questions to forceofothersradio@gmail.com or just put it in the comments below if you're not ancient. But anywho, let's, it's been a bit since we've actually done a proper episode. So, boys, how were your weeks and how were your Star Wars adventures these weeks? And let's start with Noah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thank you for saying my name first. So there wasn't that awkward silence we already had. I mean, Star Wars this last week been fantastic. Obviously, Visions. Can't sing enough praises of Visions. I'm a big anime person to begin with, so you know, big anime guy, bigger Star Wars guy.
Cool.
Together, you know. Yeah. My thoughts exactly. Oh yeah, I read the latest Charles Soule Vader comic, or Kylo Ren comic, Fall of Kylo.
I need to
Off to a great start, in my opinion.
I was going to say no spoilers, but how is it? We both want to read it, and I keep forgetting about it.
Yeah.
Beauty. Yeah, no spoilers. It's fantastic. It's I would consider riding the highs off of Legacy of Vader. Again, anything
Cool.
Charles Soule touches.
Yes.
Star Wars or not, like even going back to his like Daredevil runs, like
Yeah.
fantastic author. One of my favorites. I knew I was gonna like it going into it. You know, it's not like anything like groundbreaking, but it's a solid start, and it's building up the continuation, I guess, off of Kylo and where we left him in Legacy of Vader.
Cool.
So I'm definitely excited to see what he can do with Kylo's character even further. You know, if he ever wants to do a Ben Solo, you know, after Rise of Skywalker, I'm not gonna say no.
Oh my gosh. well, and we're doing our weeks right now, but did you guys see where Filoni got asked that on the red carpet and his response?
I didn't see his response. I just heard that he got asked the question.
They asked him to make it, and he mind tricks the viewer. He's
Okay.
like, we're not making that right now. And the internet went,
Right
what?
now?
Well, and that it's a mind trick, so it's not the truth. Anyway.
Honestly, if I'm
Hey.
Dave Filoni, though, I'm doing that to every question.
Yes.
Just like, you're going to say something and put it to a mind wave, and then if it happens, it does.
Well, that's
He's
just
just gonna
Dave.
put it out there in the universe.
Yeah.
Dave's always been the king of trolling. Dave used to
Oh,
wear
yeah.
the Ahsoka Lives t-shirt with a question mark. Does she? Anywho, Zach, how have you been over the last little bit?
Good. You know, week was good, full of work. Just busy. I have some really cool voice acting stuff coming up this week, which I'm very excited about.
Cool.
And then as far as how Star Wars has found me, it found me in rewatching Visions, not Visions, but the Ninth Jedi in preparation for this. Really excited to talk about that. Matt and I are both listening / reading Star Wars Legacy, which I'm really enjoying so far.
Yeah.
Some really cool stuff about like kyber crystals and rebuilding lightsabers and all of that, which is just really fun. I really love all of the Leia stuff that happened so far. I'm not too far into it, but you know, I'm really enjoying a first-person perspective through Leia. I think any book that is from her perspective is really wonderful, and I love that writer. And then the real way that I've been like kind of jazzed has actually not been Star Wars, but is space-related. DC Lanterns is out, and I am freaking hooked, dude.
Cool.
So if I could just take 2 minutes to do a little mini review on that,
Go for
/ get Matt to watch it.
Okay.
I was 100% against the show. When in concept, I did not like an idea of a space cop show being in rural Kansas. I love the idea of a buddy cop show, but I was like, why are we so terrestrial? You're the literal space guy. But this show works so well, and I don't know if it's just the great acting, the great writing, but like, man, it is so good to the point where the first episode ended and I was like, why didn't they release this all at once? Because I would have binged it that night. Like,
all in one night.
Yeah, it is so good. Kyle Chandler's a fantastic Hal Jordan. Jon Stewart is freaking perfect. He is like actually like pitch perfect. They do some really interesting stuff with the character that I'm not going to spoil because Matt hasn't seen anything. But there is a cliffhanger at the end of episode 1 that if you were on the internet, you've probably seen, but it is such a big swing because they do 1996, 2016, and 2026. They do time jumps back and forth. And Jon Stewart goes from clean shaven to nice goatee Jon Stewart that we've seen in the comics. And there's just a cliffhanger in 2026 that is like, oh, I need to watch the rest of the show. And then episode 2 comes along, also great, also a banger, and then again ends with a great cliffhanger, and you're like, crap, man, I just want to watch it all. But Noah, you've been nodding along. Anything to add on?
It's kind of a weird experience for me because, we talked about Superman and I've read Superman comics, so like I have context and I can enjoy it. And then we talked about Supergirl. We're not going to really touch on that. Go watch last episode for our Hopeless Wonders. But it's an interesting because I felt the exact same way as you, Zach. I was like, okay, Green Lantern Corps, galaxy-wide police force, and you're sticking to backwater Arkansas for the entire show. Makes no real sense. And then you watch episode 1 and 5 minutes in, I was like, oh, okay, I'm in. And it's a weird point of view because I have not read a single comic book for Green Lanterns, minus Absolute Green Lantern. I've sort of kept up with that, but again, it's an Elseworld take on, an altered take on Green Lanterns. So, like I obviously have some like background knowledge on what the Green Lanterns are, watching the animated shows and having Hal Jordan and Kyle Rayner and Jon Stewart in them. But like everyone's talking about like, I'm not going to spoil anything for Matt, but like they're talking about certain things that are very comic book Green Lantern, and it's going right over my head. And then I hop online and then, I get the full breakdown of it. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. And I'm like, today I'm planning to make a video on Instagram asking people for Green Lantern comic recommendations because I'm loving lanterns. I need to know where to start, how to get into it.
I got you, brother. So I just a little background on me. If you look behind Matt's head right now, you can see a 19-year-old me in a Green Lantern shirt. Because Green Lantern is what got me into comics. That's me and
that's sick.
And Lando. I was like, I'm gonna wear a
Billy D.
Lantern
Williams
shirt to a Star Wars convention because I was that. I mean, I love Green Lantern. I always have. The Blackest Night series is what got me into Green Lanterns.
Okay.
It is probably not the best place to start, but man, is it a fun one because it's when all of the like different colors of rings popped up for the first time. I would really start with Rebirth.
Okay, that's what I've been hearing online. It's like the big, thick omnibus book that you can get that like gives you the backgrounds, introduces you to all the characters.
Yeah, and it's interesting because Rebirth starts with Hal Jordan dead.
Okay, I heard about that.
Just to smile, like a spoiler for that comic book, but it's the like first thing. He's become the Spectre, and so it's a really interesting because it gives you all of this history on Hal Jordan. You get introduced to all of the other 3 Earth Lanterns and Kilowog and all of that. But Rebirth is a great endpoint, and I'm sure people online will add more. But man, is it it's a wealth of stories, and all of the animated stuff is really great. There's the one with there's an animated movie that was kind of about his like origins that came out probably 10, 15 years ago. That's perfect.
Interesting.
Goes over like Sinestro and all that. Sinestro's still in the Green Lantern Corps and all that. But anyways, Lanterns is fantastic. You've seen it in the trailer. Sinestro's in there from the initial trailer. And Aaron Pierre, who plays Jon Stewart, is so good. It makes me so excited for Star Wars Starfighter because he is so good in this. And he's been like a name that's been in the background of the movie industry for a while now, and he's been popping up here and there, but I feel like this is his first like, lead big thing. And then right after it, Star Wars Starfighter, this man's about to blow up. Like, he is so good, and yeah, the show's fantastic. So if you're looking for a weekly recommendation this week, it's Lanterns from me. So
right on. Well, you sold me because I'm with Zach where I was like, why would you take Space Cops and make it into true crime or true detective?
Yeah,
that seems weird, but then I'm hearing it's great, so
it's so good.
We'll give it a go.
It's kind of a comparison, on the topic of Star Wars that I made is like Lanterns to me is kind of like what Andor is to Star Wars in a sense, where leading up to it, everyone was like, why are we doing this? And like something that is so inherently Green Lanterns is space cops and outer space and different planets and aliens, and it's like you're in rural Nebraska, and in Star Wars it's like Star Wars is so inherently like space and like wizards and force and lightsabers, and you don't have any of that, but it's just so well written and it just fucking works, that like they're just like to me both like such a different take on what they are, but just so well written, so well acted. I wish it all came out at once, but having something to look forward to weekly is also great. So
I'm also so curious how Guy Gardner is going to fit into the show, because we know he's going to be in it, and it's such a tone shift.
Wild.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, all the tones of DCU are so weird. Like the comic booky bright, again, obviously Guy Gardner and Superman, and then like the super serious Lanterns, and then you have Clayface coming up that is like horror.
Oh yeah.
And somehow they all fit together, and I'm just here for it.
I like that. I like that it's a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
But speaking of a little bit of everything, I had kind of a wild week of just different like entertainment and stuff. In terms of my real life week, I mean the only real adventure that I had that I can remember. I finally got to see the show I directed, Mary Poppins.
Nice.
And I'm going to talk about it, and I didn't bring it. I left it at work, but my cast made me a shirt that says on the front, Mary Poppins is a Jedi, and then on the back, because we double cast Mary, both Marys are standing there in costume with lightsabers coming out of their umbrellas.
That's so
which
cool.
is
That's awesome.
Adorable. And then they put the anti-Poppins, Miss Andrews, deep cut Mary Poppins musical lore that nobody knows. In the back, like Darth Maul, just kind of like mean mugging. It is very funny and ridiculous. And it's like, why did you do this? And they all wore their shirts to the show. But anywho, so it was very, very fun. I went to a Rangers game for the first time in years. It was a work outing. And I got to tell you, baseball is baseball. Happy it exists. Not for me. When I left, they were down 7-0. And I left at the end of the 8th inning. And my wife looked at me and was like, we're going home. I was like, yes, ma'am, let's go. Anywho. But I also, before I get into Star Wars, I finally saw Obsession. Holy crap.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
Holy crap. I don't like scary movies. And it definitely, there's one moment that like still, when it's dark in the corner of my room, I'm like, she's not in there, right? But, But no, I loved that movie. Hard recommend if you're a scary movie person.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you're not, I'm not a scary movie person, and I liked it. But into the Star Wars of it all, not only did I watch Ninth Jedi, and I liked it, I'll say that. Not only am I reading Star Wars Legacy, I'm kind of reading at the same time, or listening, audiobooking at the same time, to Cloak of Deception, which is a prequel novel to Phantom Menace going back into Legends continuity.
Is that the one with like Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon, Chancellor Valorum's on like the cover? Okay.
Yeah.
I've heard great things about it.
It's so a couple chapters in, it's really, really good. It's very political, but it gets into, it's basically how Palpatine set up the blockade of Naboo. That you find out that he literally manipulated every entity involved with that whole thing. And it's really cool and it's interesting, and it's helping me prep for the next, the first RPG campaign we're going to have on the podcast, because it's going to be around Star Wars Episode 1. But then for a way that Star Wars kind of found me, just unexpectedly out of nowhere, I forget the guy, but I was watching, just doom scrolling on Instagram, like you do. And it was this video, he was a stunt performer on Book of Boba Fett, I can't remember his name. Dogs, don't start barking. Serious hush. Okay, if he starts barking, I'll pause. But anywho,
just use the mind trick on the dog.
You will not bark at the people that are outside. They're living their lives. Anyway, it was this video about how he was hiking randomly in the... Serious hush. Good boy. He was hiking randomly in the woods, and this dog, speaking of, just appears and starts leading them down the path. And he was like, we don't know this dog, where he came from. He's got no tags. He's just leading us through the woods. We don't know where he's going. Led them to this bridge, and then the dog, like, vanished again. And he was like, did I just find, like, what was this? And one of the comments was, that's absolutely a coup Sith. C-U-Sith. Like, spelled like Star Wars. S-I-T-H. And that is, I didn't know this, that is a Gaelic word that means like basically like dog fairy.
Oh.
And so I was like, did George pull from the, and Sith has been a word that's appeared in other ancient languages, but I had no idea. So randomly, there you go. Sith also means apparently dog fairy. But
that's insane.
Yeah, it was wild. You know, this part of this whole segment was Star Wars will just find me sometimes. It's like, how did Star Wars just kind of pop up into your life this week? But so Zach and I yapped about this a bunch last week. Noah, how did you like the Ahsoka trailer?
I think it looks exponentially better than season 1. Now, that's not to say that I didn't enjoy season 1 of Ahsoka. I am definitely a bit lower on it than some people are. It was great to see everyone back together again. I think, Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka is, at first I was kind of, iffy on the performance, but that's fantastic. Ahsoka is right in front of me. But I was talking, I forget with who it was at the time, but they're like, this is a much more seasoned veteran Ahsoka by this point. She is so much older, so much wiser, and she's been through so much more. So obviously she's not going to have the same personality and temperaments, where we left her in Rebels in the Clone Wars. And once, I looked at her character like that, I completely was on board with Rosario Dawson, and I think she came into the role a lot more as the season went on. And by the end, I'm like, okay, yeah, this is Ahsoka, especially when she, shed her like turmoil in the first couple episodes and, grew into Ahsoka the White. I thought it worked. Iman Esfandi as Ezra is probably some of the best animation to live action casting we have ever gotten. Everything down to like the way he looks, to his like childish nature, goofiness that Ezra has is there. Shin Hati is great, but again, like I thought, the choreography could have used a little bit more work. I thought the dialogue could have used a bit more work. But coming into how we saw the trailer, I thought everything looked so much better. The space battle that we saw in that trailer is like on the level in my eyes of what we got in like Return of the Jedi onto what we got at the beginning of Revenge of the Sith. Like it looks to that scale, which is something that I really want, especially when they're talking about, Thrawn is back and it's Thrawn versus Admiral Akbar. Two top tier admirals are finally going to battle it out. R.I.P. Admiral Akbar in the sequel trilogy. They kind of did him a little dirty on that, but I'm happy that they're finally giving him his flowers. He's going to get his good last stand. He's going to be able to thrive in his role as we've seen him in like comic books and in regular books, but never on screen. Live action Dathomir looks crazy.
So good.
I absolutely bawled my eyes when I saw Ezra and Zeb together again.
Yeah,
they went in for the hug and it was just waterworks. But yeah, it's I'm super excited. It looks like they just took it to the next level, which all shows do. So season 1's not going to deter me in any way, shape, or form. I'm super excited for Ahsoka.
Love it. Well, so one last Ahsoka question before we get into the Ninth Jedi. And Zach, if you want to field this too, but we'll start with Noah. If you only had one, what is one thing that you desperately want to see in Ahsoka season 2?
You know what? I want some quippiness between Ezra and Thrawn.
Ooh,
because
cool.
All throughout Rebels, it's like, Ezra is his like even when he goes like dark side, emo boy in season 3, he still has that quippiness to him, and those like that Spider-Man-esque one-liners just to toss at your opponent. I kind of want some of that Ezra goofiness. I want like Poe Dameron in episode 8 where General Hux is like, "You will all burn," and he's like holding for General Hux. Like, I want just something Ezra-esque like that against Thrawn. I think that would be that'd be great. 'Cause, Star Wars is inherently like, it can be serious at times, but it can also be, childish and fun at times. So, if Ahsoka can tackle both of those, I think it'd be perfect.
Well,
Go ahead, Zach.
Well, since you went fun, I'll go heart. I want the entire season for none of the Ghost crew to be together, and then the final shot of the season be them all reuniting as a family. Yeah.
And that's when Ezra meets Jason.
I think he will meet Jason earlier. Because I just think that's going to happen probably episode 1 or episode 2. But I would love just like a final family photo, like around a table, and then Ezra looks over to Jason, and Jason's sitting where Kanan would have been.
Oh my gosh.
That actually brings up something for me. Ezra got taken before we knew of Jason. So Ezra has no knowledge of Jason like being a person. I don't think. Because she doesn't say anything about being pregnant before Ezra, sacrifices himself.
Yeah.
So unless he somehow knew through the Force about Jason as Kanan, but
didn't Sabine tell him when they're like traveling with the turtle dudes in Ahsoka season 1? Maybe. I know that she gives him an update on. He's like, everything sounds so different. Zeb's running his own blah blah blah. She's doing this. That would be the only time though that I think he would have heard about it.
I don't remember it, but I mean, Ahsoka was 3 years ago.
That's
and
so
I
real.
haven't rewatched it since my first viewing, so I could just be overlooking it. But if all the characters are doing their own thing, it's great because then they all have their own moments to shine instead of all being together. And then a nice reunion at the end.
Yeah.
But you're talking about everyone on their own and coming together. Do you guys like turning around, asking you a question?
Oh yeah.
Is Ahsoka staying on Peridia? Is this the end of Ahsoka in the galaxy? Is she like on her own thing as we're going into the world between worlds and the father, the son, the daughter? Sabine finding a way back to the galaxy, but like, what are we doing with Ahsoka?
I mean, I'd have a hard time believing that Filoni's going to kill his favorite toy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I would bet that this season will end with Ahsoka and Sabine reuniting with the galaxy. The only thing that I could see different to that would, and we've talked about this on the show before, would be maybe Ahsoka doesn't necessarily die, but she takes the daughter's place with Mortis. Balin's the son, Anakin's the father, Ahsoka's the daughter, or, and this wouldn't happen, Anakin's the son, Ahsoka's the daughter, and Qui-Gon Jinn is the father. But I think
Ooh.
that would be hard to pull off in this one season where there's gonna be people watching that don't necessarily like, they know Qui-Gon, of course, but they'd be like, why hasn't he shown up in this story before? Who's this guy?
Yeah.
You know, but that's my take on that.
If they're not like obsessive, nerds like us that, take in any piece of knowledge that we could possibly get. There's a lot of like background stuff between like Qui-Gon and the mysticisms that, the average viewer might not know.
Yeah.
So, and especially like, my dad is someone who is like obviously a big Star Wars nerd, but he's like, cartoons are for kids. So when it comes to like when it comes to Clone Wars and Rebels and that sphere, he doesn't really know anything, which is cool because, he wanted to watch Ahsoka. So I got to, here is my PowerPoint presentation of everything that happened in 4 seasons of Rebels. So I got to like talk about Rebels because it's my favorite show, and give him all the background and the history. And this is what this character does. And, I got to explain Kanan's passing and what that meant for the crew. And so like, the average viewer that doesn't watch cartoons, coming into Ahsoka won't know a lot of that backstory.
Yeah.
So like, a lot of it, especially when you talk about World Between Worlds, people are going to be like, what the heck is this?
Yeah.
But Zach, what was your response?
Well, so Matt, if she does take the daughter's place, how cool would it be? You have like Ezra or Sabine's, looking at the city again or whatever, same ending as Rebels or something like that. And an owl pops up and it's Morai, but now it has Ahsoka's like painting, like in its feathers.
Instead of like white and like the sage green, it's like
orange and blue or
beige
something.
and orangey.
Yeah.
Whether that's here or someplace else, that has got to be coming, or some version of that. That's too Dave Filoni mystical. Like, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Or there's going to be like a Loth wolf that like pulls up, but like instead of like the markings that we see in Rebels where it's like this is actually Kanan, Caleb Doom, it's like they have like blue markings on it. So like the Loth wolf is actually like Ahsoka.
Yeah.
I can see Dave doing like funky wolf stuff.
We have seen a Lothcat that has her painting because there was a gift, right?
Yes.
Well, Morai will show up, the owl, and then it will go like land on Kanan's wolf, and then they'll walk off into the sunset. And it'll just be Ezra and Sabine watching.
And then Linkin Park plays in the background as it happens.
I've given up!
That'd be so 2007, and I would honestly just laugh and cry at the same time.
Be so disappointed. That's another Star Wars question for a different time. What scene would you put that into?
Yeah.
But we got to talk about Star Wars anime.
Yeah.
So, because
the reason we're here.
The reason we're here today is to talk about the Ninth Jedi. We've gotten our first non-canon Star Wars show ever. Kind of not counting things that have been made not canon after the fact. Ewoks, droids, all that type of stuff. But, a full-length Star Wars anime show. 8 episodes. Mm-hmm. So let's get into some spoiler-free review. Let's go Noah and then Zach and then me with crosstalk or whatever we want to do. But Noah, spoiler-free thoughts on the Ninth Jedi.
Spoiler-free is so hard for me because I just want to start talking about certain moments. Like, I like this aspect because this happens.
Yeah.
Overall, I thought it was really strong. It does, fall into that, every anime has that one thing about it that it's like, okay, that's so inherently anime.
Mm.
And obviously, it's made by a Japanese studio. It, has those anime isms. But mixing with Star Wars, I think it really works. I'm a huge advocate for Star Wars and animation. Just go hand in hand. I think they thrive together. Like, don't get me wrong, movies should be live action, but like the shows and animation format is just so good. And if there's one thing that got solidified when it came to Star Wars Visions, it's that Star Wars and anime just work so well together. Yeah. The lightsaber combat, the dueling in anime format is so good. It just allows so much freedom in their movements and the flowing of and the flipping, and it's like Yoda from Attack of the Clones, just going crazy. The story is solid. The soundtrack is great as well.
Mhm.
I'm definitely biased because I love anime, but like overall, like it just worked for me.
Mhm.
Awesome. Zach, what about you?
Yeah, I agree. I think anime is a really fun lens for Star Wars, especially like what you're saying with lightsaber combat and feeling you can do so much. I mean, Clone Wars does it too. You know, everything's a little bit more heightened, especially with force powers and the ability to do saber stuff. But some of the saber stuff in this is just absolutely fantastic. I love the idea that this world has presented, which is that like the art of making a lightsaber has kind of been lost, and so there are sabersmiths now. It's very, master katana makers and all of that. So like the taking of like Japanese lore and Asian lore into Star Wars and heightening all of that, I think is really wonderful. I think the story in this is great. The characters are all fun and unique, which is nice, which is what you want out of your Star Wars. And I love that we're getting a non-canon Star Wars story. Like I love that we have something that is just there are no shackles on it. Like you can do whatever you want. That's so fun and refreshing, and it's so great because you're like, oh, I don't have to worry about canon, and just being like, no, that can't happen because Darth Vader said this in a comic book, or like, oh, that can't happen because Krennic said that it's Calkite, and like just
synthetic calcite.
Yeah. So it's like
Great.
It's nice to just have a story be able to be a story and just let it be. The original Ninth Jedi little episode of the original Visions was one of my favorites, so I'm so excited that we expanded that. And yeah, I have lots of thoughts on this, but Matt, what's your spoiler-free review?
I was gonna say, keeping it spoiler-free for now. Visions has always been anime Star Wars, but like this show is literally the greatest hits of Star Wars through an anime lens. But it's got some really, really interesting things to say about the balance of the Force and what it means to have balance in yourself. That's some of my favorite stuff. Halfway through, the show took off. I'll admit, for the first 3 episodes, I was kind of like, and then they started to do stuff, and I was like, whoa! And then I was on the edge of my seat. I will admit, I'm alone in this, but the Ninth Jedi short wasn't one of my favorites. I think it was my honorable mention, top 5. It's mostly because lightsabers being fully mood rings just bumped me. I thought that took a lot of the spirituality completely out of it. Like, it made it simpler in that it's just, where is your soul at right now? Where are your attentions at right now? And that'll change the color of your blade to reflect who you are in this moment. But you don't have to, I guess, fully commit to being a Sith and bleed the crystal. I just love that lore. But what they did in this show had me really worried for what they were going to say about Grey Jedi. I was like, oh, come on, please do not. Do not. But then what they did was so criffing perfect. Dank Ferrick, man, I loved it. I really, really loved it. So do we have any other spoiler-free things we want to say, or do we want to dive right into all the good stuff?
Just one silly, funny thing with the mood ring lightsaber things. Did y'all, this entire watching the series, I kept on thinking of that one short that's like, oh no, that Sith that guy isn't a bad guy. He has a blue lightsaber. And he's like, no, he just killed that Jedi and took his blue lightsaber. I kept on thinking of that I think it's Crackers to Milk or some comedy channel on YouTube. But
that's funny.
Yeah.
But okay, is it spoiler time?
Spoiler time.
Yeah.
Okay, you have been warned, and it'll still be interesting if you haven't watched it, but I'm going to go right into it. Before we give it back to round robin, guys, what on earth happened to General Nawaam at the end? What was that? So she turned off her lightsaber, doesn't stab him. Why was his red-rimmed Force ghost watching as he died, and then he's completely fine in the next scene? What was going on? I have a thought. I have my theory, but where are you guys at with this?
Go ahead, Noah.
I had that same thought. At the first time it happened, you saw like that purple line and you're like, okay, he's dead, but he's not. My first instinct was like, okay, this is the last Jedi. Nawaam is force projecting himself. This is like what was going on in my head, because I was like, no way her dad's dead. I was like, what if he's somehow force projecting and still fighting both of them at the same time? But his appearance to
cool.
Kara is like,
Cool.
oh, I'm here, so your father's dead. Now, be
Yeah.
unbalanced
Cool.
to try to like throw her off. But then, in the end, it's like, that's not actually what happened. And she just turned her lightsaber off, which I thought was like insane. But it's like the swap from like, Kara throughout the show going on her killing spree, and then going full Yoda on Dagobah mode, hiding amongst the people, and her connection to the what was that kid's name that she would give food to? It's
not
gonna
Timu, it's
I don't know, the monkey duck looking guy.
And then like her feelings come back, and the whole show surrounding like feelings and moods. It's like, you said it's kind of cheap with the mood ring thing. I was on the complete opposite spectrum of that. I thought that was so cool on how it kind of took me back to like Legends lightsaber, where it's like your lightsaber color reflected the type of Jedi or Force wielder you were. You had a blue, you were a Guardian, you wanted to fight. You were green, you were a what was it? Consulate, where you like really wanted Force mastery. You're yellow, you're a healer, you're a Sentinel.
Yeah.
And I thought it was like, that was like so inherently Star Wars to me, where it's like your Force connection is kind of what manifests in your lightsaber. And again, what Zach touched on with like the katana making, early Japanese that Star Wars was taking on. I think George said it himself that, his original like lightsaber fighting was based on, katana and Japanese culture. So for this show to like take that to the next level, especially with lightsaber making, I thought that was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And you said it's Legends, so I think they said in the universe, it's like, oh, this is like 9,000 years after like the Rise of Skywalker. It's completely Legends, but like it's so far in the future that, in theory, it could honestly be brought into canon if they wanted it to. But I'm much happier with it being Legends, because like if this works, then it's like, okay, it's like Star Wars What If, right? You have all these like major projects that are like fitting together. Like you said, Tarkin talks about Calcite, so down the line, Jar Jar Binks can't have a kid or something. It's everyone getting into the lore. It's crazy. But if this works so well, then it's like, Star Wars in the future could go forward making projects that aren't canon, that are just great stories that they want to tell. I think
that's where I'm at. That's the stuff that I love, but I want to know what happened to General Nawaam. Zach, help me.
So for me, it was a spiritual death of ego.
That's what I was gonna say.
So it's yes, he is maybe forcefully hurt, not physically hurt, but like maybe the lightsaber is attacking
Forcefully
his force. I don't know, like it's attacking his force.
We're trademarking
that, but to me, he's overwhelmed by how much better she is when he thought that he had achieved like true enlightenment, and that she is so much better that she can turn off her lightsaber within like a second and turn it back on to where he can't even see it. And it's the Kylo Ren dying so that Ben Solo can live. She's killing his ego. She is killing his apathy, is what it ends up being, right? He's kind of apathetic towards the world, and he finally can feel again. And so it's like a oh crap, I am not as good as I thought I was, and now my ego is looking at me, and so
because that was what I thought too. I mean, I just wish they had made it more clear that's what it was, because his Force ghost is looking at him, and he's like, I am defeated, and closes his eyes and exhales, and then is alive and fine in the next scene. And I was like, what? But she forced him to, she defeated his dark side.
Yeah.
To me, what I got out of it was she showed mercy. She could have killed him. She let him know she could have killed him, but she turned off her lightsaber. If you don't know what we're talking about, listener, watcher, if you haven't watched the show and you're just listening to us, she gets under his guard and slashes through his middle probably 6 times. And then you find out after the fact that she turned off her lightsaber super fast with the Force on all of those slashes. So I think it was just kind of what you said, Zach. his whole thing was attaining balance. And he thought that was through the state of nothingness.
Mm-hmm.
Through light, you have to use light and dark. Grey Jedi power edgelord vomit. It's okay to be a douchebag. That's how you find enlightenment. Blech. And then as he goes on his monologue about how good and evil are just two sides of the same coin, his lightsaber color changes to red. Because that is not, in fact, enlightenment at all. That's, like I said, just making yourself feel better when you're being a douchebag. No, I'm just equally selfish and selfless. That's balance. That's not, shut up. So that was literally, I stood up and fist bumped and walked around the apartment just so happy that his saber turned red in that moment. But I think, to me, it was the mercy that she was showing kind of showed him that, oh, my aggressive tendencies, she killed his dark side.
Yeah.
And I think that's why, at the very, very end, as he goes to turn on his lightsaber, again, you don't see what color it is. They cut to credits. Well, there you go. What color do y'all think his lightsaber is now? I would say blue.
Yeah, I was saying that, or maybe like a purple. Where he obviously he's good now. If what actually was like his red outline was just his darker ego, being relinquished from his body and from his soul. I don't think he's gonna immediately go from, oh, I'm a tyrannical dictator of the galaxy to, oh, I'm a Jedi now and a pacifist. Like, I feel like there's got to be like some he'll eventually make it to having like a blue lightsaber. But I feel like he was just too far down that dark rabbit hole to like immediately be a blue or a green.
Yeah.
So I think like a purple indigo in between, if they go on to a second season, I think that could work.
I could also see yellow, because it's the one color we haven't seen in the show yet.
And it's usually associated with it's associated with temple guards, so like protection, violence. Right on. Well, I got another question that just occurred to me. So we always ask, what color would your lightsaber be? And that's just kind of, what do you want? But in this Ninth Jedi universe, what color do you think your lightsaber would be if it's, you grab it and it's where you are as a human? What do you are you empty like Lajima was in like the right way? Or you can be empty in the wrong way. I thought that was interesting. We'll get into that in a minute. But or are you blue, green, red? I hope not.
I think I would be like this like cyan behind me, like kind of that like really light blue.
Cool.
Yeah, I would say I'd want it to be green, but like, am I as a person that enlightened to have like a green lightsaber like Kara ended up having in the end of the show? Maybe like a turquoise.
Cool.
I think I'm part blue, part green.
Yeah.
I think that would be interesting. What about you, Matt? What would you have?
I would love to say blue, but I think I would probably end up purple because, as Zach knows more than most people, I'm a paladin, I'm a Gryffindor, I'm the crusader for what's right. I also get real grumpy and angry sometimes. So, and I, have gotten better at that over the years, but I do definitely have that rage. That's just Irish
you're
Catholic
purple
upbringing.
Before you eat lunch, and then you have a Snickers, and then you're a blue lightsaber.
Bro, sometimes I'm red before I eat lunch, and I don't want to be. There's a little thing about me. If we ever hang out, if I'm really quiet, I'm angry. And I'm just kind of stuffing it down. But, so, to get out of all that, so let's go kind of round robin again. If there was one thing, what really, really worked for you? What's the one thing that you kind of loved most about this show? Let's start with Noah.
Yeah, I think it would definitely be the lightsaber.
Cool.
The fighting is just so good in animation, and you see like Katana play when you come to animes like Demon Slayer. That just looks beautiful and it works well. And I think that really translates well over to Star Wars, especially with, George Lucas taking heavy inspiration from Japanese culture and samurai fighting when, designing his world. So like to have like a Japanese studio really go into that and bringing in the katana making, mirroring in the show, lightsaber building as like a lost art. I think that was phenomenal. I also think that, this show really plays on a lot of what is inherently Star Wars. Like, I feel like each episode brought something that I was like, oh, that is this episode. Her being exiled, I'm like, yeah, that's Empire Strikes Back. Or what really actually came to me was when Kara was locked up. And, the Force ghost of Juro was speaking to her. I'm like, oh, this is Luke and Obi-Wan in Empire Strikes Back. Or like, this is Luke and Obi-Wan. And, like the big Kyber crystal, it's just the Death Star. So it's kind of like they just pulled so many things from Star Wars and like changed it a bit to where you're like, oh, that's that. Which I feel like to me is a double-edged sword. Because part of it, I'm like, oh, you're just redoing something that's been done. But like, you're also doing it in a way that it's also kind of fresh and new in the context of the show. But yeah, for me, it was the lightsabers.
Cool.
The mood ring aspect of it just worked for me. I don't know. When it was like,
awesome.
It's like, oh, are you, like when Kara finds out her father's alive and she goes and hugs him. And then the guy who like kidnapped him pulls up and he's like, guys, blue lightsaber, I'm good. You can all relax. I just think that's really neat. And especially like I do like the bleeding of crystals aspect, like don't get me wrong, but having like your saber be like an extension of your Force connection is like a part of who you are. I think that's really neat.
Yeah.
Not to get off topic, but I just want to point out too, I love, you talked about the guy who kidnapped him, the bounty hunter, then having a lightsaber.
Yeah.
I love that we got so many different Jedi in this, like different levels of Jedi of like, that dude doesn't use the Force once. Like, he's just shooting people and using the lightsaber. And then you got, like, the guy who always wanted to be a Jedi, and then you have Jedi Masters. Like, I love that we got different levels. And it just is, like, if you are pure of heart, and it harkens back to that original trilogy days when you were a kid and you're like, hey, I can pick up a lightsaber and I can be a Jedi. And I feel like this show captured that essence.
Yeah.
That's a topic that I totally forgot to talk about, but I wanted to, is that like in this show, they make it so inherently, you don't have to have the Force. You don't have to be part of the special club. You don't need that special credit card. Like, you are who you are and you can be a Jedi. As long as your outlook on life is, that of a Jedi. It's like when Kara gave it to the queen of that planet and she's like, I'm not Force sensitive, I'm so some queen. It's like Juro would want this, and it's like that is beautiful.
Yeah. Love that. Zach, what really worked for you?
What really worked for me is that the finale was her not killing him. It was her finally choosing nonviolence, and somehow nonviolence still won the day, which is incredible. Especially in a world that is Star Wars, that not killing him and that choosing mercy is what finally defeated him. And I think that's really, really beautiful.
Well, and it's something that I remember when the High Republic was starting and they were releasing the images of kind of their mood board, their idea board, when all the writers got together for the conference where they were planning out a new Star Wars era. They wrote down like all the things that Star Wars is, and one of the first things was Star Wars is anti-war. And I remember the internet getting so mad, not all of the internet, but that part of the internet. And I just remember being like, guys, the Return of the Jedi doesn't end with Vader, like Luke doesn't cut his head off, guys. That's kind of the point. Granted, he then picks up Palpatine and chucks him to his death, or his death for, 30 years so far as we knew. But the franchise is about fighting when necessary, but also trying not to fight. A Jedi uses the Force for knowledge and defense, never for attack, right? So, I agree. What biggest worked for me, my favorite thing was just General Nawaam.
Oh, really?
I loved that character. I loved that we had a Force-sensitive villain that was talking almost emotionlessly because he's convinced in what he is doing is right. And he's achieved, and I loved what it had to say about how Grey Jedi are stupid and don't make sense. Because here he is presented in all ways as being in complete control, in complete mastery of himself. He is completely convinced, free of like dark side rage and anger and aggression. This is what has to happen. The galaxy has to be put to order. This must take place. But then when he finally is honest about what he believes, what his philosophy is, that good and evil are two sides of the same coin, bro, your saber's red. Like, that is not how balance works. That was never how balance was supposed to work. And I just really hope that people watch this show and maybe that idea that I pound to death on this show all the time, hopefully that makes sense now.
Yeah.
But, so getting into a little Star Wars therapy, right? Because our goal isn't to complain. Or I guess it is, but our goal is to complain and then maybe have some constructive complaining, constructive criticisms. But was there anything that really didn't work for you that maybe we can talk about and end your struggles with? Noah, was there anything that really didn't work for you in this show?
I'm trying to think. Like, I feel like nothing came to mind where I was like, oh man, I didn't like that. Like, I feel like everything for me just worked. Yeah, I feel like everything in the show really worked for me. Again, it's perfect timing on the dog. Again, back to that thing where, a lot of it was like, oh, you just did this from this movie or you did that from that movie. I thought it could have been a little bit more itself, and you're a Japanese studio making a show. Like, this is like, you have your own take on Star Wars, and they did that, definitely. I think they just could have got further into that, whereas I feel like at a lot of times they just played it safe. They just wanted it to be inherently Star Wars and inherently stuff that has been done before, so that legacy fans are like, oh, you did this. So I thought they could have just added a little bit more uniqueness to the story that they told. Again, it's like you're fighting another Death Star.
Yep.
Now, don't get me wrong, big, massive Kyber crystal, that's pretty cool. Not being like when, again, that guy who kidnapped her father, like, shot into it, and then all of a sudden it just came out like 10,000-fold the other side.
Yeah.
That was sick. But again, it's like you're doing the Death Star again.
I'm going to jump in. The exact same thing.
We could just talk about it because my biggest problem is the Death Star lasers.
Oh, well, there you go. Well, yeah, just in general. And I mean, I know this is weird coming from a podcast where all three of us like The Force Awakens, but like in that
That's also my biggest problem about The Force Awakens.
Oh, Starkiller Base?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, just along the lines with Noah, that just in general, it's kind of what I said in my review, that this show is the greatest hits of Star Wars again, just through an anime lens. Like, if you're going to do a new thing, do a completely new thing. It doesn't really bother me in Force Awakens because his character's acknowledging, like Han's like, so it's big. There's always a way to blow it up. Like, they're acknowledging we've done this before. But in this, they're like, a Kyber crystal weapon? What? And it's like, come on, like, what? It felt like kind of a wasted opportunity to me to hit, evil Force user and his army trying to take over the galaxy, Jedi Order trying to restart, Starkiller Base, battle droids, masked bad guy who turns out to be a hot young guy. Like, these are all things that we have seen before. I thought that was silly, but Zach...
I'm sorry to cut you off, but he was just Kylo Ren to me.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like, like dark, mysterious, like helmet guy. I thought they could have done a little bit of work with his like voice through the helmet. It just sounded like I put on Darth Vader's helmet and you just like heard like a muffle because I have a helmet on. Like, I thought they could have done more with his voice to make it more menacing. Yeah. But like hearing it, I'm like, oh, you're just a kid under there. And then like he took his mask off and it's like, oh, it's just like a hot Adam Driver pretty much.
It really worked for me though. I guess that like, because every other Sith we've ever seen is angry, menacing, and to Kylo Ren, he has temper tantrums. This guy doesn't even ever really get mad until he goes full dark side at the end. He's in complete control.
Just,
and that was
he's just a great Grey Jedi.
Now, wait a minute. Hold on. Are you a Grey Jedi guy?
No.
I was about to boot you off the show.
Just kidding. Deleted. Film a new episode tomorrow.
Zach, yap about the Death Star laser and why you hated it.
Yeah, we don't need another Death Star laser. Like, there's so many other cool things you can do. My one caveat is I love that it exploded into becoming a ring around this planet. I think that was freaking cool as heck. And I did like that you could take it down and have it crash. I thought that was cool. But I just don't need another planet exploding thing. Like we've seen it too much. Like, it's been in 3 movies, kind of 4 when you look at Rise of Skywalker. Because it's essentially one of those ships. And so it's just like I just could have done with something else. I don't know. Just come up with something else or make it smaller. Like, you don't have to make a Star Wars about all of the stars at war. You could make it about a single star at war. It doesn't have to be so big, I think. And I think that's something that Star Wars can learn from, is like, hey, it's something you can learn from Lanterns, right? Like we talked about, sometimes you can take it and make it small and make it really good. Not that this show wasn't really good, but I'm kind of over Death Star lasers. So
it feels like it just, the whole thing felt like not the whole thing, but all those kind of bullet points we keep talking about, including the Death Star laser again, it felt like kind of a wasted opportunity. Here you are with a blank slate, you can do anything, and they did all the same stuff. Now, for all we know, that's a corporate mandate from Disney. I doubt it. I really doubt that, but it just felt like a missed opportunity. Which is why I said at the beginning, once we got to the first 3 episodes, I was fine with. We've talked about how I'm not an anime guy, so like every time it cuts them going, I was like, okay, I mean, and I get that that's the style. That's just not something that I watch a lot. But when it was that coupled with we're just doing every Star Wars thing you've ever seen already, I was like, what? And then I think I said episode 3 or 4, whenever you found out that Jima killed his master, I was like, okay, new things, cool.
Yeah.
But again, I was so wary with this Grey Saber stuff. When I started to go, okay, they're onto something, was when, again, lightsaber mood rings. I think, Noah, you mentioned it earlier, but when Kara goes on her killing spree and it's full-on red lightsaber, I was like, okay, cool, interesting things happening.
Yeah.
So...
And then, it continues into, the next episode. It's like, she's scared to face her father because if she ignites her lightsaber right now, it's red.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I've only seen it all once, so the details are escaping me. But Zach, you had something to say.
Oh, just the silver lightsaber of it all, if we want to chat about that.
Please.
It's so interesting because it's it's presented as nothingness it's presented as full apathy for Nawaam. But for Jima, it's kind of pure serenity. And then for Kara, it's somewhere in between, and I love the fact that just realizing that doing nothing or having no feelings is not the way, because I feel like maybe as a society or as a world, we are kind of taught to be desensitized towards lots of things. I mean, the news, etc., the world, everything that's happening. And so I think it might be a nice, I think it's a nice thing to be like, hey, just turning yourself off isn't the right way. Have the feelings, have the emotions, even if it does lead you to a dark red at one point, even though you thought you were doing good. That's okay, because you have now learned something about yourself, and you need to, you've realized that you need to reject that, Kara. Yes, you were getting vengeance, which is good in this sense, but at the same time, maybe it wasn't the right way to do it,
The greatest teacher. Failure is.
Yeah.
There it is. Yeah. Well, but so then how do you think Lajima comes into that? Because his saber stays silver, and he seems to be, by all accounts, a pretty good dude.
Yes, but
He's
also...
a Grey Jedi.
Noah
We've
Troll
descended
Fulcrum
into-
I
Control Noah.
found my new, I might give Brandon a break on Solo now, and I'm going full Grey Jedi with Matt. This is great.
That's great.
Let me find this Luke Skywalker quote about why Grey Jedis don't make sense. But Zach,
So I
what
think
did
for-
you get about the Shima of it all?
Jima knows that he's wrong. He knows.
Oh, does he though?
Yeah, because he steps away from the order. He doesn't go back and be like, I killed him because he was making all of these trade routes and all that. He's like, no, I'm wrong. This like apathy, this serenity, whatever it is for him to be able to kill him. He's like, no, that's still wrong. Like, I can't lead the order this way. I need to go and become a hermit, much like Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi.
I think that was like his later, I don't know if it was like internal monologue or when he was talking to the group explaining who Nawaam was. He was like, he was just a child and he saw my greatest mistake.
Yeah.
His mistake, cutting down his master, but also like the idea of nothingness. It's like, no, it's not nothingness. It's like, yeah, you're just an asshole who is like, I'm nice part of the time, so I'm actually just in the middle. It's like,
but then
his
saber stays gray, and he's opposing Nawaam, and he's like part of the team. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think he just like goes into his like failure. He's like, I am just inherently in nothingness now, and it's bad, but it's just like I've walked down that path and I'm on that path now. So like whether he goes back to the light later on, if there's a season 2, or if that's who he was at the end, or like, I mean, he's not really a Jedi at the end of the show, so maybe he like gave up his Jedi ways. He even said like early in the show, like, I wouldn't want this life for my daughter.
Yeah.
So I think he's just trying to.
He also doesn't win with it.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Nawaam defeats him. Like he also loses.
I mean, he dog walks Geno, whatever that guy's name is, the only true Sith, quote unquote, on the show, and a bunch of droids. Once he gets up against Nawaam,
so he's just like, he's just pissed off.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was another thing I didn't put on my things we've seen before. We did General Grievous again.
Yeah.
And we did Droidekas as well.
Yeah,
Just
bro.
a really big one this time.
Yeah.
Though that moment where she like stands there and the droids like pummel the ground and she like
awesome
teleports beside him is like, that's just so inherently anime.
Yeah.
And it's great.
Yeah.
It's like she's just like staying next to him. Just
yeah.
Fantastic.
Right on.
Well,
go ahead, Zach.
Just want to shout out lastly to like just in like other things to discuss. Great voice cast. And if you look at it, it's almost entirely Asian or Asian American or Asian descent actors, and I think that's really awesome. And I love my boy Simu Liu, so I always love seeing him in anything.
He was in this?
He's Jima.
Yeah.
I did not know that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I had no clue.
There's so many voice actors in this where it's like, I know you, I just can't place you. And one of them was the voice actor for Frankie from One Piece.
Is he the one that leads?
Dubbed?
Is he the one that leads the big asteroid team? Is that guy?
No,
because that guy I know from like 20 different animes.
No, I want to say he's like the part of like the Masterless Jedi who has like the purple lightsaber. That's what the entire show.
Yeah.
I want to say it's him. I'm blanking on who it is right now, but I think the voice actor who plays the like dwarves from Lord of the Rings, pretty much.
Yeah.
I think he's the same voice actor that plays one of the rebellion leaders in Rebels.
Oh yeah, he is.
Is he Commander Sato?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cool.
I'm like 90% sure they're the same person.
Yeah.
Voice acting wise.
And who's the guy that has the little droid for the entire first half?
Ethan.
Ethan is played by the guy from Heroes, which I really love. Hero from Heroes. Is Ethan. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, which
that's
I was like, I
awesome.
know that voice, and so I looked up. I was like, heck yeah, my guy getting to be in Star Wars.
I'm trying to figure out if Keone Young. I'm sorry for how I'm butchering this name. But I'm trying to find if he's also that guy.
I want to say Master Juro's voice also sounded a bit familiar, but that one I couldn't place.
Kyun Young was also
Right
in
on.
Samurai Jack, which is, deep in my psyche.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, this is the same guy. He voiced Quana on Star Wars Visions. Well, and we're kind of getting to our wrap-up beats here, but I have to ask, Zach.
Yeah.
How much... Zach's a big Lord of the Rings guy, FYI, Noah. Zach, how did you react to dwarves
and elves?
mining
we got
dwarves
both.
in Star Wars?
We got both. We got the elves too, because the elves were on the planet. The Peridia? Is it Peridia? Pretty planet. The planet that gets exploded.
Bibin? I'm pretty
no,
sure.
Peridia is another Star Wars planet. Bibin. Yep. The Bibin people were elves. And I was here for it. I was like, yes, finally, someone with a pointy ear in Star Wars. Something that we don't do for some reason.
It's true.
None of barely any of the alien creatures get pointy ears, and we got dwarves and elves, and I'm here for it.
Nice. Peridia is, in fact, the planet outside the galaxy that they all get stranded on in Ahsoka.
Yep.
Well, right on, dudes. All that to say, I liked this show.
Mm-hmm.
I will admit, I'll eat my crow. I did not expect to like this very much.
Ooh.
Nothing against it, just anime not being a style I've ever really vibed with. And then again, to harp on it again, I remember when I watched the trailer and it said, "Beyond light and dark, there is power." I was like, what? No. Nope. I'm going to be that guy that's fighting on the internet a bunch. But I don't have to be. I really, really liked it. But one last question before we go into kind of our normal send-off. We'll start with Noah. If there was the Ninth Jedi Season 2, what would you want to see?
I kind of want them to do something similar to what the High Republic has done and give the Jedi an enemy beyond force-wielding, angry bad guy. I love the High Republic, and one of the aspects I really love about it is that, it's doing something that we haven't done either before or in a very long time. One of my coworkers, were both really into reading, and he used to be a really big Star Wars fan back in the day, but he fell off reading. And we traded books, and I gave him Light of the Jedi, and he talks about it. We'll hop on a Teams call and just talk about reading, because he's like, you're getting me back into Star Wars. He's like, the Nile are so cool. And I'm like, yes, finally a antagonist for the Jedi that can match their power.
Yeah.
Hypothetically speaking, with their numbers and their tactics. And it's not angry red lightsaber guy. Yeah. It's finally something new. So not to say I didn't like that it was I liked what they did because it was, again, different. It's not like a Sith Lord that they're fighting again. It's someone who was a Jedi who's like, I'm a Grey Jedi now. I walk in the middle, and then being like, no, you're dumb. You're an asshole and a good guy at the same time. So if they go into a season 2, I would not be against maybe them trying to rebuild the order and a unified galaxy that Nawaam wanted to do, but just in the right way, and instead of through tyrannical leadership and a dictator, you do it through peaceful negotiations. If they could do that, and then meeting some type of exterior force that is non-Force Sith related, I think would be a hit. I'm not creative enough on the spot to be able to come up with that would be, but
but to bounce off what you said, Yu Zhan Vong would be cool.
Yeah.
And that would fit the anime style.
An exterior,
very,
out-of-world alien force. Something that threatens the galaxy, and then that's another thing, actually, when we're talking about, they did that again. It's all the ships showing up. I'm like, okay, that's the Rise of Skywalker.
Yes.
I watched that. I was like, I know that. Yeah.
Even the asteroid ships are from Heir to the Empire,
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
It's true.
I didn't even make the connection. Yep.
Yeah.
These are much bigger than those,
Oh,
I
for
think,
sure.
But
yeah.
But Zach, what about you? What do you want to see?
I want to see a
Season
political
2?
thriller about Nawaam standing trial for his war crimes.
Oh.
I don't know. That's a silly answer, but I would love to see some consequences for these Star Wars villains that have committed genocide, and then they're like, oh, they're a good guy now. It's fine. It's like, no. They destroyed a whole planet. They don't get to just be like, all right, I'm a good guy now. Like, no, like, I would love to see, because if they do that, I would love to see consequences of like, it's like if Vader ever went good again, the galaxy wouldn't be able to forgive him for what he did. And so it's
Leia doesn't forgive him, and she's his daughter.
Yeah.
Like, we see that in, what is it, Princess and the Scoundrel, by Beth Revis. Like, at the beginning, she's like, am I a bad person for not feeling anything? And it's like, no, he was a terrible person.
Yeah. He tortured me and destroyed my home planet.
And you only found out 5 minutes ago before he died. So,
yeah.
Whereas, like, it was different for Luke. Like, he lived for years with that type of knowledge, but.
Yeah.
So I would love to see some repercussions for Nawaam, and he can still be good, but like there's got to be something. Like, I don't think he gets to be on the council if he is the Ninth Jedi or whatever, I don't know. I would love to see them actually go into, because they didn't kill him. So like, I would love to see where this universe goes forward with having your biggest bad guy now not be a bad guy, and the repercussions of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I love that. What I would want to see, I basically take the Jedi Academy books and do it in this new thing. Let's see, Kara, and I can't remember any of the other names of the people that we saw on the council at the end of the show. Ethan was there, the most American sounding name on
Ethan
this show.
on the council to me is so funny.
Yes.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you doing here?
When there's no other Jedi to choose from.
Yeah. That's how you got Yarl Poof on the council.
Bring Poof into the Ninth Jedi. But I would like to see them kind of, do some Indiana Jones archaeology stuff.
Cool.
Where they're looking old Jedi things up, where they're finding new Force sensitives, where they're trying to build up the Order. But you got to bring in the lightsaber mood ring aspect somehow, because that's kind of what this universe's whole shtick, unless they kind of say, well, we've already done what we can do with that. You know what I mean? We've already shown what, like, the colors actually mean. I don't know, unless you want to do something with, like, a black saber, someone that's, like, completely soulless. I don't know. Now I'm just spitballing.
A real
all
Grey
that to say,
Jedi.
Yeah, they called it
All right.
silver. We haven't done
All right.
gray,
All right.
Silver
All right.
Jedi.
All right. For a Jedi, there is no place for a rainbow force. There is no room for compromise. We walk the path of the light side or we fall into darkness. There is no gray area. Jedi Master Luke Skywalker, page 187 of Fate of the Jedi Omen, and that was in Legends, when Grey Jedi were like the thing.
Yeah, but we
This
don't
is
have
now
a
gonna
canon
be,
That's
version of
legend,
that.
so it's not real. Actually,
Also,
you can also take Qui-Gon from Master and Apprentice. I turn towards the light because it's there.
The Luke Skywalker one is my favorite quote to bring up, because it's like, bro, even Luke
He
in
said
Legends
gray
continuity
right in the quote.
yeah.
said, like, there is no gray area. Anywho, that being said, Noah, where can the people find you, and where can they find your Star Wars content?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram, primarily, kind of on TikTok. Fulcrum Noah. Yeah, primarily Instagram. I'll post occasionally on TikTok. I do also have a podcast, a more civilized podcast. I have not posted in months, and Matt, our episode is still just dwindling in the nether. I wanted to post it as like, I'm finally back making stuff again. I just haven't filmed any other episodes. So I hope, coming out of summer, I have more time. I can actually get into it.
Cool.
But yeah, that'll be on Instagram and YouTube. But primarily Fulcrum Noah on Instagram is where you can get me.
Cool. Like it. Well, and Zach, let the people know how they can get involved with what they just watched or listened to.
Yeah, if you want to troll Matt about Grey Jedi, email us, forceofothersradio@gmail.com.
You don't like them either.
I don't either, but I'd love to see you defend.
Say Noah sent you as well.
Yeah.
I think it'll just play it.
So Brian Lawson, if you're listening, if you could just pester Matt daily about why Grey Jedi are awesome. they're not. But either way, if you want to email us, forceofothersradio@gmail.com. Get in the comments either on YouTube or Instagram, or message us on Instagram as well. If you like what we do here, we have lots of other videos. This one is great because it's not just Star Wars news. It's kind of a whole review. So this one can live on in perpetuity.
Yeah.
But we do a lot of news. We do fun games. We do D&D shows. We do improv shows. So we're trying to be a little bit of everything, but mainly just to have fun. So hit that like and notification bell, subscribe, leave a 5-star review, all the gobbledygoo, and we will be here in your ears or on your screen every week. Does that sound bad?
We'll be in your ears or in your eyes, whatever you want. Good Lord. All right, this was awesome. This was fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, every time there's a DC thing, I feel like we got to have Noah on. We should do a Lanterns wrap-up. When does that even end?
So we're on episode 2 out of 8, so it'll be 6 weeks from now.
So like October, probably, I think.
Yeah.
We could probably make that happen.
Yeah, dude, if you want to come back on, I'm itching at the bit to talk to anyone. So if your Instagram blows up on Sunday afterwards, it's going to be me being like, whoa, because nobody I know is watching it. And I'm just like, guys, it's so good.
And maybe by October, I will have read some Green Lantern comics. Yeah. My backlog is massive right now, but I do want to get into some Green Lantern. I feel the itch because of the show. So maybe I'll have semi-knowledge to be able to be like, oh, I remember this from this. Yeah, there's so many theories on the show I've seen right now, but I don't
Rebirth
have the
will be a
knowledge.
Great one for this show specifically.
Okay.
And that's all I'll say.
Yeah, okay. And thanks for being spoiler-free, because I was like, I don't know if I want to watch this. And now I'm going to. Oh, I'm also watching Ted Lasso.
Oh, so good.
Because Ted Lasso's back,
got
and
caught
it's the
up
best.
last night, and it is so good.
Did y'all see that museum in Kansas has had a 500% increase in
Actually?
attendance?
Oh,
Yeah.
that's incredible.
Yeah.
That's so great. I love that show. You want to talk about just a harmless good time, make you feel better about living.
Yep.
Ted Lasso.
Mm-hmm.
When we do the Lanterns episode, it'll be half Lanterns, half Ted Lasso.
Lanterns Lasso.
I was going to say...
Ted Lantern.
There's no...
What? Yeah, I think Ted would have a green ring, right? No, he'd have a white ring.
Or would he be blue because he's so hopeful?
Oh, that's true.
Oh, blue for sure.
Yeah.
Because I see those TikToks where it's like I forget the creator, but he's like, if Hal Jordan shows up to the Marvel universe, what color of ring would Spider-Man get? And it's like everyone's like, oh, you got blue. Oh, you got green. And it's like Spider-Man pulls up and he has a white ring because I think it's a white ring.
Yeah.
I could just be lying through my teeth right now.
There is a white lantern. Yeah.
Okay.
What does it mean?
The white is purity, and it's all of the colors, because when you put all colors together, it becomes white. Whereas black is death and nothingness. White is life and all of them. I think the first White Lantern is Kyle Rayner, who is actually one of my favorite Lanterns, and I hope he shows up in this universe at some point because he's awesome. Also, if you want a really cool thing about anti-AI, there's a great one from Kyle Rayner. It's a great quote being
well, what's the quote?
I'll have to find it because I can't.
We're about to.
I can't think of it right now. But he's
we're about to send off, so I'm on
he ends up talking about
Rayner.
how it's because he's an artist. The whole Kyle Rayner thing is he's a graphic designer, he's an artist, he's a painter, he's a sketch person. It's really cool. In one of the comics, they talk about the 4 different lanterns and how they build their constructs and how different they are, and it's really awesome because Kyle Rayner's is all drawn, and Jon Stewart's is everything down to the nut and bolt.
Guy Gardner just throwing out middle fingers.
Yep.
So good.
Well, I found the quote, but it's hard to read, and I can't make it bigger without closing
it's a
you
bunch
guys.
of little things. It's a whole comic.
Yeah, he's fighting somebody. Basically, the long story short, he's it's cool that you didn't have to make your own art, but other people did.
Yeah.
So anyway, all that to say, this was awesome. Noah, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for
You're
having me
now
on.
a 2-time guest, so 3 is around the corner.
Yeah.
And if you listened to last week's episode, you heard our hilariously out of date hype for Supergirl and how excited we were, and then we never really talked about it because, not all movies are perfect. But that being said, we'll have Noah on soon to talk about lanterns and maybe some other stuff that we talked about off air that might be in the works for a live show from time to time that could be very fun. Shout out Sam the Jawa Den. All that being said, remember, we are not the force of others. You are, and the force of others will be with you.
Always. The Force of Others. A Star Wars podcast. Matt loves Grey Jedi.
I hate Grey Jedi.